I know that within you there still exists the little girl who cried whenever she saw someone suffering. The woman who dreamed of making a difference. She is still there, just forgotten, just asleep. The woman's gaze softened even more. And then Rebecca realized something that broke her inside. In that woman's eyes, there was love. A love that asked for nothing in return. A love that didn't depend on what she had done or failed to do. A love that simply existed. You can still choose differently, my daughter. You can still return. The door is open. It always has been. Rebecca couldn't take it anymore. Her knees gave way. She fell, but even then she couldn't take her eyes off that woman. Before anyone could hold her, she saw something that would remain engraved forever. A small, gentle smile, full of hope, and then she was gone. One moment she was there, the next she was no longer. Can you imagine standing face to face with the Virgin Mary? What would you feel as she looked at you? Rebecca was lying on the floor of the aisle when she regained awareness of the world around her. She didn't know how much time had passed. Seconds, minutes. Time had lost its meaning. She heard voices, distant at first, then closer. Ma'am, can you hear me? Rebecca blinked, disoriented. There were people around her now. A flight attendant was kneeling beside her, worry on her face. A middle-aged man, who she would later learn was a doctor, was checking her pulse. She's in shock, the man said, his voice professional yet gentle. Rebecca tried to speak, but her throat was closed. Tears still streamed down her face, silent and relentless. What happened? The attendant asked, looking around in confusion. Did anyone see what happened? A passenger from a second row stepped forward. She was shouting something about someone blocking the bathroom, saying there was a woman here, but there was no one. The aisle was empty. Rebecca found her voice weak and hoarse. Didn't you see her? The flight attendant exchanged a worried glance with the doctor. We didn't see anyone, ma'am. The aisle was clear. You were alone. But she was here, Rebecca insisted, her voice breaking. Right here, a blue dress. She was right here. More passengers had stood up now. Some watched with curiosity, others with concern. An elderly woman in the fourth row whispered something softly to her husband. The doctor crouched down to Rebecca's level, his voice calm and reassuring. Ma'am, my name is Dr. Martinez. I'm a cardiologist. Sometimes when we are under a lot of stress, our brain can play tricks on us. The altitude, the cabin pressure, dehydration, all of these can cause temporary hallucinations. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Rebecca shook her head, tears falling faster now. It wasn't a hallucination. I know what I saw. I felt it. She was here. She knew me. She knew. The flight attendant gently held Rebecca's hand. We're going to take you back to your seat. All right. And then Rebecca saw her, the little girl with brown hair wearing a light blue coat. Sophie. She was standing now, waiting while her mother pulled a small backpack from the overhead bin. Rebecca froze in the aisle. Her heart raced. Her hands began trembling again. Amanda turned and saw Rebecca standing there. Her eyes narrowed instantly. Recognition, then anger. She placed a protective hand on Sophie's shoulder. You, Amanda said, her voice low but heavy with restrained emotion. You have the nerve to come here. Rebecca opened her mouth, closed it. She didn't know how to begin. All the words she had rehearsed now seemed inadequate. She started, her voice faltering. I came to apologize. Apologize, Amanda said, her voice low and sharp. You ripped something precious away from my daughter. I know, Rebecca whispered. She bent down to Sophie's level. I am so sorry for what I did to you. Sophie looked at her with fear. She didn't answer. Amanda took her daughter's hand. Come on, Sophie. They walked past Rebecca and out of the plane. Rebecca remained standing there alone in the empty aisle. Rebecca took a taxi to the hotel. She sat on the edge of the bed in her room. She stared at her own hands for a long time. Then she picked up the phone and called her mother. They hadn't spoken in 2 years. Hi, Mom. It's me. Silence. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. Her voice broke. They talked for 35 minutes for the first time in years. And there in that hotel room, Rebecca realized the true miracle had happened inside her. And I ask you, do you believe that Mary continues to perform miracles today? If you believe, write in the comments, I trust in Mary's love. Perhaps your comment may comfort and strengthen someone who needs hope. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell to receive more stories of miracles of Our Lady, and share this video with someone who needs to renew their hope today. May the Virgin Mary continue blessing and protecting you and your family. Rebecca's transformation began the moment she felt Mary's unconditional love piercing through her hardened heart. The vision wasn't just supernatural encounter. It was divine intervention calling her back to the person she was meant to be. In that sacred moment on the airplane aisle, surrounded by confused passengers and concerned medical professionals, Rebecca experienced what theologians call theophany, a direct manifestation of divine presence. The blue-robed figure who appeared to her wasn't hallucination or stress-induced vision, but Mary herself, Mother of Jesus, reaching across time and space to touch one broken soul. This encounter mirrors countless documented Marian apparitions throughout history, from Lourdes to Fatima, where the Virgin Mary appears to ordinary people in moments of great need. Rebecca's story demonstrates that divine mercy knows no boundaries, that even those who cause pain can find redemption. The rosary that Rebecca had broken belonged to Sophie's grandmother, a woman of deep faith who had prayed those same beads for decades before passing them down as sacred inheritance. When Rebecca snatched the delicate chain from the child's hands during that turbulent flight, she wasn't just breaking jewelry, she was shattering a connection to generations of prayer and devotion. The small blue beads scattered across the airplane floor like tears, each one representing countless Ave Marias whispered in times of joy and sorrow. Sophie had clutched that rosary during her father's deployment overseas, finding comfort in the smooth beads between her tiny fingers. Her grandmother had taught her the mysteries, showing her how each decade told the story of Jesus and Mary's love. Now those precious beads lay broken, just like the trust between strangers on that airplane. But Mary sees beyond our failures to the heart that still yearns for connection. She witnessed Rebecca's moment of cruelty and chose not condemnation, but compassion. The weeks following Rebecca's encounter transformed her daily existence in ways both subtle and profound. She found herself stopping to help elderly neighbors with groceries, volunteering at the local food bank, and attending Mass for the first time in decades. The hardened executive who once bulldozed through business meetings now listened with patience and spoke with kindness. Her colleagues noticed the change, but couldn't explain it. Rebecca's assistant mentioned how different she seemed, how her usual sharp criticism had softened into constructive guidance. At home, Rebecca began reaching out to estranged family members, writing letters of apology that she had been too proud to send for years. The phone call with her mother became a weekly ritual, slowly rebuilding bridges that anger had burned. She started keeping a prayer journal, documenting moments of grace that she previously would have dismissed as coincidence. Small miracles appeared everywhere once she opened her eyes to see them. A homeless man's grateful smile, a child's innocent laughter, the way sunlight streamed through her office window each morning. 3 months after the flight, Rebecca discovered that Amanda and Sophie lived only 2 hours away in the neighboring city. Through careful research and prayer, she learned that Sophie's father had returned safely from deployment, and the family was attending St. Catherine's Parish. Rebecca spent weeks crafting a letter, pouring her heart onto paper with words of genuine remorse and explanation. She included a beautiful new rosary, blessed by the local bishop, along with a donation to Sophie's school in the child's name. The letter detailed her vision of Mary, not to justify her actions, but to share how divine love had changed her completely. She explained how Mary's message of forgiveness had opened her eyes to the pain she had caused. Rebecca mailed the package with trembling hands, not expecting forgiveness, but hoping for understanding. Days passed without response, then weeks. Rebecca continued praying for Sophie and Amanda, asking Mary to heal the wounds her anger had created. She learned that true repentance meant accepting the consequences of her actions, even if forgiveness never came. One Sunday morning at Mass, Rebecca felt someone tap her shoulder during communion. She turned to see Amanda standing behind her, holding Sophie's hand. The little girl now wore the new rosary around her wrist, its silver beads catching the sanctuary light. Amanda's expression was no longer filled with anger, but with something Rebecca had never expected to see: cautious hope. After service, they walked together to the parish garden where children played among flowering bushes. Sophie ran ahead, her laughter mixing with birdsong and distant church bells. Amanda spoke first, her voice soft but steady. "Sophie wanted to thank you for the rosary and the letter. She's been praying for you every night since we received it." Rebecca's eyes filled with tears as she watched the child who had once feared her now playing peacefully nearby. "I never expected forgiveness," Rebecca whispered. "I just needed you to know how sorry I am." Amanda nodded slowly. "Sometimes healing takes time, but Mary teaches us that love is always possible, even after pain." As months passed, Rebecca and Sophie's family developed an unexpected friendship rooted in their shared experience of divine grace. They met regularly for Sunday dinners, where Sophie would show Rebecca new prayers she had learned, and Rebecca would share stories of how Mary continued to work in her life. The broken rosary incident became a testament to how God can transform even our worst moments into opportunities for growth and connection. Rebecca established a scholarship fund at Sophie's school in honor of the Virgin Mary, helping children from struggling families receive Catholic education. She spoke at parish retreats about her encounter, always emphasizing that Mary's love extends to everyone, especially those who feel unworthy. Sophie grew into a young woman of deep faith, often crediting Rebecca's transformation as proof that prayers are always answered, sometimes in ways we never expect. The airline seat where Rebecca's vision occurred became sacred space in her memory, a reminder that divine intervention can happen anywhere, anytime. Their story spread through the Catholic community, inspiring others to seek forgiveness and offer mercy. Years later, Rebecca would often return to that airplane seat in her memory, feeling again the overwhelming presence of Mary's unconditional love. The woman who once snatched a sacred rosary from a frightened child had become a living testimony to divine mercy. Sophie, now grown, worked alongside Rebecca at the Scholarship Foundation, their bond stronger than many biological families. Together, they helped countless children receive education while spreading the message that no one is beyond redemption. Rebecca's mother, reunited with her daughter through that transformative phone call, lived to see her grandchildren learn the same prayers Sophie once whispered with her broken beads. The original rosary, carefully restored and framed, hung in Rebecca's home office as a reminder that God repairs what we break, often making it more beautiful than before. And so we ask again, do you believe that Mary continues to perform miracles today? If this story touched your heart, write in the comments, "I trust in Mary's love." Your witness may be exactly what someone needs to find hope in their darkest hour.